right, Shalom. This is Ariel Ben Yashrala, the Iron Lions in Camp. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Father and to the Son in the Paleo Hebrew tongue. Call Halayim La, Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Ha, Rakha, Kodash, Ma'amath. A double honor to the elders and apostle, Great Millstone, who rule well and teach well. A double honor to my elder apostle as well, Iron Lions in Camp, Ahar One Ben Yashrala. And a sincere Thawadas to the Akim, the Akwathim, and the Bunyam, the brothers, the sisters, and the children who are pushing truth and believe with sincerity. Thawad and Shalom. This is just a quick lesson. The past, I'll say like not this week, but a few weeks before, Isaiah 4:1 was going out. it was a a lot being expounded upon those points, and Elder this camp. He was going off his, I think either the most recent or the one before that lesson, how dealing with people in the world, with their pride and their arrogancy, will make you well, not make you, but I'm just gonna go ahead and read. This is James chapter 1 verse 22. But but be ye doers of the word and not hearers only, receiving your own selves. For if any be a hearer of the word and not a doer, he is like unto a man beholding his natural face in a glass. For he beholdeth himself and goeth his way, and straightway forgetteth what manner of man he was. We have to remember who we are. All right. In this hope and faith of Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai, be not just hearers. All right. What the heck? Be not just hearers. All right. Actually do, all right, what we're reading, what we're praying for. All right. Which is ultimately the kingdom. All right. What we have hope and faith in, have fear in, which is, Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai. All right. Also with that, the whole Deacon Hakah thing. All right. He wasn't even being a hearer. All right. He was just being a straight up reprobator, he was right, forget what manner of man he was, verse 25. But whoso looketh into the perfect law of liberty, right? That word liberty is freedom. All right, the law of Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai, the statutes, the commandments, their laws of freedom. All right, even the land gets rest. All right, with the laws of Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai, and continueth therein, right, and continue. All right, in that hope, and that faith, and that fear and majesty of Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai, and the law of liberty. He being not a forgetful hearer, right, not forgetting the words of Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai, but a doer of the work, right, a doer of the work, going out on the highways and byways, actually speaking out, all right, against this place. All right, I see so many, I don't say see, but I meet individuals, who they call themselves Israelites, but, they don't go out and teach. And I will say, I see individuals as well, on social media and stuff like that. They'll be teaching on there, but yet they don't got no videos of them being out on the highways and byways like the prophets are, men of the Lord are, not really standing 10 toes on what they believe in. All right, but a doer of the work, this man shall be blessed in his deed. So we are blessed in these deeds, going out on the highways and byways, preaching the word, being hearers and doers. All right, but primarily doers of the work. All right, and this is what's gonna make us. As a matter of fact, let me go ahead and get that. This is gonna make a man. Isaiah chapter 13, verse 12. I will make a man more precious than fine gold, even a man than the golden wedge of Ophir. And we was talking about this at camp. I will make a man, all right, and not just a man who has, testicles and testosterone and, a man, but a man of the Lord. All right. More specifically, a man who believes in Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai, who fears the Lord and is standing against the rulership, the wicked rulership of this place. All right. A man more precious than fine gold, even a man than the golden wedge of Ophir. All right. And not just making a man like gold, making a man more precious and not more precious than gold, but more precious than fine gold, right? So that's what the Lord is that's what the Lord is molding us into. That's what the Lord is uh keeping us in the fire of affliction for right now. All right, that's what the Lord wants us to have patience to see his perfect work play out. All right. All right, so with that being said, this is Proverbs chapter 31, verse 3. It says, "Give not thy strength unto women, nor thy ways to that which destroyeth kings." Right. We have to remember, like right now in our state, we're princes, yet to be given the crown by Yahweh Shai. But, we're also, God's, as the scripture says, but we shall die like the princes, which we are. But at the same time, we want to make sure that our ways don't destroy us. All right. Make sure that we're not giving into excess. Make sure we're not thinking that our own way is superior. Making sure that we're focusing on the ways of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, going into the law, statutes, commandments, the law of liberty. All right. Making sure that we're walking that right path. And also making sure that we're not giving our strength unto women. All right. Making sure that we're not, just letting ourselves be used by women, All right. And this one's talking about actual women, an actual woman, Of course, if you got a woman, that's cool, but don't let her be on the throne of your mind. As the elder of the camp once said, don't let her be on the throne of your mind. Don't let anything but the Lord be on the throne of your mind. All right. Even at work, people may ask you, what's your goal in life? In your head, you want to say to get to the kingdom and see this place be destroyed. But you have to say, just living a chill life, But you have to keep Yahweh Shem Yahushua on the forefront, on the tippy top, wherever is most important part of your brain to you, on that part, And give not our strength unto them. All right. Of course, we are men, we love women and stuff like that. That's not saying, don't care about them, but don't chase after them. That's the same words that the elder of this camp, when he made the lesson did a lesson on this scripture, which made me put this scripture in my lesson. We have, vigor, we have strength, we have energy and stuff like that, but we don't want to use it to obtain when, you want to make sure that we're using it to obtain even greater energy, which is Yahweh Shem Yahushua, using it to using our power to better ourselves in Yahweh Shem Yahushua, who gave us the power, But I'll meet my next scripture. This is Isaiah chapter 4, verse 1. It says, "And in that day, 7 women shall take hold of one man." Matter of fact, let me go to the prologue real quick. I'm reading the prologue of Isaiah chapter 4. It says, "In the extremity of evils, Mashiach's kingdom shall be a sanctuary." So this first part is about the extremity of the evils that's coming upon this place. All right. And then eventually it's going to turn into Hamashiach's kingdom shall be a sanctuary. And that's going to be in the kingdom, of course, in the future. But right now, focusing on the first chapter, we're talking about the extremity of the evils. All right. "In that day, 7 women shall take hold of one man." And the primary reason that they're taking hold of that one man is because that man is more precious than fine gold. All right. When society first collapsed, all right, women are going to do what they think is a smart thing and cling to the men with money, because that's still going to be what's the name? A form of protection, a form of power, when society first collapsed. But once society stays collapsed, and once it, never returns back to its normalcy, normalcy or normacy, women are going to see, not just women, but humans, man and woman in general, are going to see what true power is through the men of the Lord, as they're not going to have to go through the things that others are going through, Lord willing, I and the brothers that teach with and also all the other brothers and sisters, truth and sincerity. No evil comes nigh thy dwelling. All right, and the power of the Lord is going to separate man from the boys, any type of shit. So it's going to separate the real from the fake for you know, and right. So they're going to be taking hold of one man because he's going to be made more precious than fine gold through the true living power of Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai. All right. Saying we will eat our own bread, right? They're not gonna 50-50 is gonna be they gonna they want they gonna do 100%. All right. Majority of women don't really like doing that whole 50-50. They're gonna be wanting to do 100. All right. We will eat our own bread. They're gonna worry about getting their own food. They're not gonna ask you to bust out no crabs. They're not gonna ask you for money to go to JJ's Crab Shack or some shit like that. And wear our own apparel, right? They're not gonna ask for money to get a Birkin or to get a Louis V, shit like that. Only let us be called by thy name. They only want to be called by the name of a righteous man, of a man of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. They be like, oh, me? Oh, my name's Stephanie, but I'm the woman of da da da. I'm da da woman. They go, oh wow, he's a man of the Lord. He got proud of da. In those times, to take away our reproach, right? They're gonna be, oh, this girl, she was da da da. But hey, what they say when they get married. He made a honest woman out of me. Now she's a wife. She has a role, responsibility, and stuff like that, not only in the household, but in the community as well. And this is a upcoming thing. All right. True power, true order is going to be established. All right. And then, of course, when we first hear the scripture, you're like, okay, yeah, 7 women. Okay. Yeah, that, but flesh aside, that's just going to be a lot more responsibility on our end. We have to make sure that we're properly aligning ourselves with the power, and the will of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, so we have the proper tools to handle it. So I pray and hope that lesson was edifying, and shalom.